Hi, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to another InfraScale training. Today we're going to be going through our product, FileLocker. My name is Derek Wood. I'm the product manager here at InfraScale. So today we're going to be going through all the FileLocker features and functions from both the admin perspective as well as the user perspective. We do have room for questions, so if you want to talk about program specifics or anything at all, feel free to enter those questions at any given time. If you have questions as the presentation goes on, feel free to ask those using the GoToMeeting chat function, and I will make sure to answer your question appropriately. So let's first take a look at FileLocker.com. This is the product website for FileLocker. Here's where you can get more information as far as going to our support site. There, if you come down to the bottom, you go to webinars. Open up this page, and we do put up recorded webinars here. If you want to go to a schedule, you see even today's is the next webinar that's listed. If you want to see all schedules, you can click that button. It takes you to this list. So if you need more information in the future, this is one way to come get it. We also have our support site. So those of you familiar with our SOS Online Backup product will be familiar with how we use our support site. By the way, anyone here already a customer of us with SOS Online Backup? As those come in, I think I recognize a couple of you already. Well, the knowledge base for both products is where we keep all of our documentation. So it's also where we take our feature requests. If you have any feature requests for us, feel free to put them in this section, and we'll mark them as planned, in progress, and then done when they're actually delivered. And for online backup and for FileLocker, we actually have delivered quite a good number of features, although most of the features we delivered from our community were based off of our online backup community. So we did a public beta or a private beta to our backup customers first before launching this. So this is a good section because we do plan our roadmap around it. And then the knowledge base. If you have any questions about things after this function, you can come take a look at the different admin functions that are available. You can take a look at different FAQs and some videos, file and user collaboration functions. So we have a knowledge base built out here. So if you want to know about, Active Directory integration, search for this, and we've come up with articles. This FileLocker integrates Active Directory. If you can't find something in the knowledge base, that's great. Go ahead and submit a request. So you put in a request, your email address, subject line, and description, as detailed as you can be. Our support staff updates the knowledge base on a regular basis by taking the questions you've asked us and just doing a quick search to see if an answer comes up. If nothing comes up in the way that you asked something, or that there's just no answer at all, we're going to put it in there. So the knowledge base is continually growing and improving. You can subscribe to different sections as well. So if there's a feature request or a specific topic that you really want to see, you can subscribe when that's updated. And that gets updated by almost everyone in our company, mostly the executive team, actually. So our head of development, as well as our CEO, myself, the product manager. So we are probably the most active on the forums. And then, of course, you have our support reps and other engineers. But it's a great place to get in contact and a regular discussion with what we have. And we enjoy it, too. We look for it as a collaboration with all of our partners and our customers. So FileLocker. First, what is FileLocker? It's an online collaboration software. So this is what you use to do work with people. If you are sending or receiving email attachments, you're doing it wrong, you should come use our system. So I'm logged in right now as an admin account, and we'll start off with the admin functionality, as that's pretty quick to go through. The admins are a big part of what makes this system a little different than some of the other cloud collaboration services out there. Ours is designed for a top-down adoption versus a grassroots or democratic adoption, meaning the big problem in the market today is there are so many users using whatever cloud services they want in their business environment. what that means is there's a lot of business data that's now accounted for. It's being used in a way that's not understood. It's not in any risk management plan as far as the backup solutions are concerned for the company. There's a lot of intellectual property risk at hand. So there's a lot of things that don't bode well for businesses using these, grassroots-based collaboration services. So ours is based for business from the beginning. So you have an administrator who has complete visibility into all of the users and what's going on. So you have an admin who can see user activity, run reports, and see audit trails for anything from, let's go to create report. So you can see all files that are uploaded, downloaded, deleted, who's logged in, how many times, when, and who's edited which files. So you get a complete audit trail of all the files in the system. This is something where maybe in a file server, as an admin, you upload all the data from the file server here, and then you make the connections to your users just as you would a file server, or just as you would with Active Directory. So this is what this system is based for. So basic admin functions. So admins double as both as an administrative account as well as a collaboration account. So if we go home, you see that there's folders and files here. Now, for the most part, the demo account wouldn't be used as the holder of data unless there's a removal of information. Usually, the demo account is just used for administrative purposes. So let's start with creating users. How can you create a user as an administrator? So you come in here and you go to users. You can go to list users. It shows you the list, but let's say you don't have any yet. You say add new user. Brings you this real simple form, name, last name, email, password. Confirm the password, and then define the storage quota, hit add user, and you're done. Let's say you have a handful of users you want to do. So then you get to bulk add users, and you just start going through and typing out names and email addresses and passwords. And you can do this pretty quickly for about, I would say quickly up to about 25, 30 people. Not a big deal. Typically, you would just use it for maybe 10 or so. There's a real quick way to add users as well. There's an option down here to allow these users to see all enterprise users. That means when you create this user, they can invite someone to collaborate, which we'll go over in a minute. If they were just to use the drop-down or start typing in a name, it would autofill or show the options from the enterprise. Then you have some sort of LDAP server. So you come to LDAP, commonly we're talking about Active Directory. So we have LDAP integration, and this is going to change the authentication from our system to your LDAP server. So, using LDAP, it'll connect to your server, and that's when the authentication will begin. So it's not actually going to create the accounts based on all the users on your server. It's going to authenticate against that. So essentially, it's an SSO via LDAP to Active Directory. So you plug in your information here. You have options for simple or custom authentication. Those of you who are administrators know when this would apply to you. And then you have options for how the behaviors continue if you remove users or if you delete users from the system. So one, you can just back up files belonging to the lead users and to the admin account. So most systems, you go and you delete a user, and or they're using some sort of system that's not managed top-down. That user leaves with this account with data that the business owns in the cloud that the business doesn't control. Now there's all this business data that they have, and that's it. So it's really quite a unfortunate circumstance that you lose control over your own business data, because now there's a mix of private and business information on a single account. Well, they just removed it, so that's nice. So someone's removed from the project or removed from the company, and the data gets moved to the admin. So no data loss, and then no data runaway, I suppose we call it. And then you can remove files altogether if you wanted to do that. You can also unassociate all the collaboration settings. So collaboration is just a relationship between users. Okay, So that's how we create accounts. Any questions on how we create users in the system? While those come in, we'll just go on to the next thing. So first is the admin settings. You get enterprise info. You get the option to change the company name and logo. You can choose for the branding to display or not to display. Choose your time zone. If you have a separate URL to which you want notifications written, you can put that in here. You can force privacy notifications upon all your users. So if you want, for example, let's say you're doing a private cloud deployment. Private cloud deployment, let's define that first. A private cloud deployment means we are going to install the back-end FileLocker system on metal that the customer owns. So for most of you, you are partners, correct? You're going to sell the end users. Do we have any direct businesses here who are just looking at this as well? It'd be interesting to see. No, it looks like pretty much everyone's a partner. Okay. So, okay, a couple businesses. So if you were, let's say you needed the security of having, because essentially this is a file server, right? It's not backup. You don't need it to be off-site. The value in this system, in the cloud collaboration, is that it's available if you're not on-site. But really, you'd want to have such a system behind your firewall in your own metal so that you can further report and control who has access to that data. So we offer that. It's really a terrific service, pretty simple setup. We install it behind your firewall, and then you manage the metal behind it. Because of that, maybe you have storage limitations. So you say, you know what, this is not a backup or an archiving service. This is just for active data. So if files are older than 90 days or 120 days, I know I have projects that run for 6 to 8 months sometimes, so I'd probably want it longer for me personally. But you can enforce this retention policy either just for yourself or across the company as a whole. Now, because you have a variant of users who may need files in FileLocker longer, maybe you do change that, but for the most part, that's what a backup system is for. So you would put this file retention down to 90 or 120, and if it's not being used within 3 months, it's pretty much not a use case for what this system is built for. Those files should be protected by our other products, our online backup system. So you can force that across to your users, or your users can identify that themselves. And then for notifications, as an admin, you can get notified upon any upload into the system. So you probably want to group these notifications together because it's going to be a real bulky inbox. You're going to have to make a folder rule, and you're just going to have 1,000 emails in that folder at all times. And that's it. You come through here. The branding at the top is mostly for authority. So it's hard to introduce and spread a new platform across all of your users across the business, especially if they're pre-existing ways of doing things. Some people learn new workflows better than others, and it's a process. Every month or every couple of weeks, you're going to have to follow up with people and see how they're going. One way to make it more serious as far as, look, you will be using this system, is you put the company information on it. So it's when you register for an account, you get to register your subdomain. And so everyone has their own unique subdomain per company. So that's one level of authority. The other is to show the company logo here on the login site for your subdomain. If you're not logged in, it'll also show your company logo. So that's a part of what we're doing here, is just kind of creating an authority that, yes, Mr. Employee or Mrs. Employee, yes, you should be using this. All right, down to FTP connector. This is really just what it says. You're connecting your FileLocker instance to some FTP server. So if for some reason you have a heavy FTP protocol already in place, procedures rather, and you don't want to immediately move this out, we've made the system to work very nicely with other systems, and we're continuing to do that work. So things like being disruptive to current workflows is tough. So it's not an immediate replacement of a workflow, say through an FTP server if you're sending and receiving large files all the time, but it certainly can work alongside it. So you put in your FTP information here, and everything that gets put in a FileLocker will be mirrored here. And that may be even something that you want to do. For example, you have FileLocker mirroring to an FTP server, and then you use our backup product to back up the FTP server. That may be a good workflow for you. Change password, pretty self-explanatory. This is for the admin. And then applications for users, which is, you can force read receipts or force passwords for shares. So if you don't want any just public shares, you can make this a requirement. I feel like a lot of people would like this in specific industries like legal, financial, government. You can't just do a simple share and send. You have to set a password. And different plugins. So the admin controls which plugins the users have access to. So there's a LinkedIn plugin, meaning the user can log in with their LinkedIn information and authenticate our system to also use LinkedIn. So if you go to collaborate with somebody and they come in your LinkedIn profile, they'll get a LinkedIn invite to the system. So that's a nice thing to enable if you're not doing a private cloud deployment and you do have this set up. For those of you who are affiliates in our system, this is a terrific thing to always encourage people to use, because it just means it's going to be simpler to spread. And by spread, I mean when you invite a collaborator, or somebody invites a collaborator, say Mike invites Dave. Dave's email address is used for collaboration. He's not yet the user. So he gets an email, which is essentially an invite that says, hey, Mike so-and-so has invited you to become a collaborator in this system. Click here to get your free account now and get started. So he does that. And what he's going to end up at is this getting started sign-up URL looks just like this, except it will be tied directly to Mike. And then from Mike, tied directly to the affiliate partner, who's probably Mike at this point, behind it. He signs up, and he gets a free account, which he can use just with the person who's invited him. But then he also has different upgrade triggers throughout that system. And the affiliate partners get 4 degrees of separation, so you can have up to 4 partners below you. So again, what I mean by affiliate is, if you log into our dashboard, which right now is dashboard.SOS, and the next few weeks it's going to change to dashboard.infrascale.com. When we log into our dashboard, at the bottom here you have a FileLocker referral program. And there's a Get More Information button, and then you just hit the checkbox, hit OK. And it's a 20% commission program. And what you have here is a URL where people can where people can sign up for the system. So you can put this out on social media, different types of networking items, maybe FileLocker. And then you use your wholesale relationship, if you're doing both, for the clients who you're very close with. The wholesale program does not have the viral invite aspect to it. So that's only through the affiliate system. Okay, so that's one plugin. Other plugin, Autodesk Freewheel. This is for previewing AutoCAD files in the cloud without having to download anything. Pretty cool system. We usually leave it disabled by default. If your users are using AutoCAD, you probably know it and know that this will be a big selling point for them as well. Script is for PDF previews. You can hit Learn Now and it shows you what's here. Although we really don't even use script, as we already have a default preview system. Then in Zoho, this is for editing Word documents, Microsoft Excel spreadsheets, and Microsoft PowerPoint presentations in the cloud. So this is just what you would use here. Typically the document and the spreadsheet is pretty common. The presentation is not as commonly used in the cloud. usually with PowerPoint because of some of the different items you have. You really want a client to be running that, as you do with some of the functionality in the later versions of PowerPoint. So basically, this is just as the trend has been, it's more and more processing in the browser and less on an actual software client in the machine. So those are the admin settings. We have some basic statistics. So you can go to File Statistics, and you can see there's a whole list of your files, number of downloads, number of uploads or edits, timestamp. You can also do user level statistics, so just quick, date range. And of course, in our home screen, we have these flash graphs here. So you can see logins over time. This is a great way to monitor adoption. You get top users. Let's see how that goes. All right, and the last thing that an admin controls is something called an incoming folder. So an incoming folder is essentially it's a mailbox, or it's a simple FTP directly into your FileLocker account. So what we mean by that is if you were to go to, let's see, we'll just create an incoming folder and we'll just show you how it works. I'll create an incoming folder and then I'll send it out to you all, and then some of you all can upload a file. Any questions on what we've gone through so far today? We're about 25 minutes through. We got about 20 minutes left. So any questions that you have, we'll have plenty of time to go through. Probably only need about 15 minutes to get through everything else. Okay. Good questions about Active Directory. Does Active Directory also include user and group relationships? It's a great question. Not yet. We're working on it. So right now, the Active Directory is just to change the authentication. So it's going to authenticate through your LDAP server. But that is something to come. And it's always good to take a look at the feature request section and just give it a vote if you see that in there. Or put it in there if it's not already. We don't often add new items to our roadmap from the feature request section, usually because we already have it in our backlog. What we do often is we reprioritize. So the feature request section is a great way to get priority in for certain features. Okay, so we have incoming folders listed here. Let's just go ahead and create a new one. So I'll do 27 Feb. Oh, geez. Feb isn't coming. I just know it is. As admin, I control this because you're allowing data to be put into your account, into your system. So choose a recipient for the file. I'll just choose myself for now. Choose a folder. So I choose this, and it's going to give me a list of all the folders in my cloud. So I can do that. Let's do example incoming bin, for example. Send folder owner an email after each upload. Sure. Send me an upload. Well, I am the owner also, so let's just leave it at that. These are different options for how much information you're going to get. So I'm going to hit basic. Your form is going to just look like this in the website. Just add files and then upload. So that's more for like an anonymous upload. So if you want to do some sort of like design contest that was anonymous, then you can do that. And you can get all the way to the detailed one, which gives you name, email, subject line, reference, message, and then you add files. And that information will be displayed when the user gets it. Go default, which is just email, subject, message, and then choose the file. So choose this into the chat function. So if you guys all get that and you want to add a file, that'd be great. So let me create now let's get the sync client involved. Okay, so first I bring this up, press admin. So now I can see, everyone's seeing my Windows desktop okay. I right-click this folder, and I have the FileLocker option here, and I hit sync. And now what it's going to do is it's going to ask me, okay, that's great, you want to sync this folder. Now from the cloud, select the folder you want to sync to. So I'm going to select example incoming bin, because that's the folder that I tied to that account. And if some of you can start upload a simple file, it doesn't have to be anything except for safe for work. You can just a blank Excel sheet would be fine. And what we'll start to see is once those files are uploaded, then the sync client will see that happen and then download those files. Go ahead and get that done. And let's go ahead and do a quick user level review of features. Here now I see that folder, I just created it, and I created a sync. I open it up and there's already some files in it. So that's pretty great. Good file here that I like to show, which is fun, is this SNow integration. Especially have a good relationship with the guys over at FileNow. And this is just a quick mock-up of what the FileNow integration will look like. So in the next month or two, you'll be able to have a document in your FileLocker account. You get the FileNow plugin enabled. You hit their logo. You'll be able to add a signature. And then it'll show you the signature, or you could put it in there yourself. And then it gets sent for a signature. Or you can invite signers. So you invite a signer, and then you just put an email address in here, and that's it. You hit OK, and then it gets sent to that user for a signature. Very nice stuff. So let's say we were working on that together. So I go to incoming bin. You could come here and you could put a comment on it and just say, hey, this looks great. Let's get it done. Add a comment. And everyone who's integrating in this with right now, collaborating it, is actually me and somebody else who is a demo. So let's log out of that and see what that looks like. So I'll log into my personal account. All right, so I go to my activity. I go to all updates. This is my news feed. This is telling me what's happening right now. So I can see that over the last few days, I've had some updates as far as new files uploaded. We'll just go to my home page, and I get an email notification for that as well. So I get an example incoming bin. So here I have the SNow integration. I show comments, and here it is. Looks great. Let's get it done. Okay, I get it. Whatever you want to do, just back and forth, and you'll get a notification. And the same, let's say I open up history events. I have this edit sheet. So this drop down on the right is an option is for actions. So I can view the history of this file. So I view history, see all the different items as far as who's modified the file and when. If I want, I can change which version is current. But I can download each version as well. So let's just say I want to go to Edit Sheet. This is all in the browser. And you can do this just as easily from your iPad as well. So I'm just going to make it all blue just because it's gross and it'll show up easily, and then make that red. All right, so I save there. And that's great. So I make that save, and I don't send an email out to anyone, and nothing's coming about it. And then soon, I'm going to see a notification from here that a new file has been modified and is being downloaded, and the new file will be downloaded here. It'll also show up in the notifications window and an email notification for the demo admin user you're logged in as before. So real quickly, let's just go through the different functions that are available. So we have, let me see if I have. Training outline in here. Here we go. So here's a FileLocker product training outline. It was modified February 11th. So let me just share this. And this is good. I'll send a link to everyone here as well. So you can download that file. This is basically a real simple document. It just goes through all the different user types and permissions that you have available. So you can go through different items as far as what it has here. So free accounts, free account integrations, role types, and all the different functions they have. So this is probably a good reference. Not official documentation. It's not pretty enough. It's just a real basic outline of what it is. So let's talk about users. So a user can come in and you can share, and you can invite collaborators, and then you can add files. So what's the difference between sharing and collaborating? Well, one is sharing can be done at a file or folder level. Sharing can also be done with people who don't have FileLocker accounts. So I just created a public file share. So if I go here and I paste that URL in, anyone can download this. Now if I password protect that share, then you would need the password, but still you don't need to log into FileLocker to get this. A collaboration can only be done at a folder level. That's because collaboration also involves adding files to a folder. So you collaborate with a folder, and then when you're in a folder, it tells you who you're collaborating with here. So I'm collaborating with demo admin as well as this doctor. So I can come here. If I'm the owner of the folder, I can remove as a collaborator, or I can invite to another folder. So I can make those changes there. That way you can also make sure that you're not collaborating with people who shouldn't see that information. Collaboration involves editing or uploading new files. So let's say you're not syncing. So down here, I open up this incoming bin. Let's say I have this chat log. It's a Word document. I'm going to open it up. So many of you some type of project file, right? So I'll just select everything, and let me change all the text to red. Sure, why not? I hit save, and then I close the file. And what's going to happen is here we're going to get a notification that a file has been changed. Let me just speed that up. So I see here it's downloaded the history events already. And now it's uploading the chat log. and that was from the other account. So if I refresh this browser, I should also have some more activity as far as what has been done. So this was modified 4 minutes ago by me, and the chat log was modified 10 seconds ago by Derek from an inbox upload. So there we go. So you get a real nice collaboration feel to it. So if you want to share, you hit share and you get your share options. You can unshare, which will disable the link. You go to password protect this link. You can also share from the sync client. So from the sync client, let's say I want to make a share from this. I go to FileLocker. I hit get shared link. And then I get this pop-up, and I can copy it or open it to see what it looks like. And that's really simple to do. Now we have another function that's unique to us, which is a ultra-safe folder sync. So we're one of the only ones who has a legitimate HIPAA-compliant sync function. So you have some doctors doing some research work, or your HR staff wants to sync between multiple machines. They can do that and keep HIPAA security. HIPAA, a big change means we are not going to we're not going to put any encryption keys in the cloud. It's all going to be stored locally. So that means that not even InfraScale employees or support staff will be able to get at that encryption key. And that's the ultimate in security. So that's the whole point. So I have this folder here, so I defined it locally. Then select a cloud folder, so I'll select a different one. I'll create a new folder. Hit OK. Select it. Then I select the passphrase. And again, this is never stored in the cloud. And I can auto-publish this sync folder to my other machines. That way I don't have to go and right-click and set it up. If I ever have sync installed on multiple machines, it'll just automatically publish to the other machines. So set the sync. Done. So now let's say I have this worksheet. Take this and I can drop it into the UltraSafe. And I'll get a notification that this is going to get to the cloud. So let's go back to my home folder. Let me log out of here. So 27 Feb UltraSafe, so you can see that it is an UltraSafe folder. You also see that I don't have a share option, and that's part of the UltraSafe set. And I can open this folder or remove it, and that's it. So here's this new Microsoft Excel sheet, and I can't edit in the cloud. I have to download. So if I don't have the sync client installed, I can still download the file and be HIPAA compliant, but it's going to use a Java application. So I know some people are, we'll do this later. So some people are worried about Java security because of the whole government finally catching up with the idea that Java is not secure. But really the lack of security is that Java pops up so often and users just get in the habit of clicking it. So you just propose a Java application to be installed and approved to a user so many times, and so many times you're going to get an approval that gives you access to their machine. Java itself is relatively fine and common. So we can do that through Java or through Flash. That does have a uploader there. And that's really it for UltraSafe. Any questions on the UltraSafe functions? A question about adding files. Okay, sure. So there's so how many different ways are there to add files? Like, what's the limitations in drag and drop? Okay, so you see this function here, you do have drag and drop. So, and that's only for non-UltraSafe files. Let's go to an example of clean bin, for example. So I can drag and drop this file in here, and it gets added. Drag and drop is a browser-based function. It's good up to 20 megabytes. So that's going to handle most any file that you'd want to simply drag and drop. Drag and drop does not set up a sync relationship, simply adds a single file one time to that location. Now you can also click the upload button. Not all browsers support drag and drop, so you need to upload. So you add files, and now this is going to open up this interface where you can go through your documents and you can add files to your backup set. You can add multiple files to your backup set this way too. I'm sorry, not backup, to your FileLocker sync set. Now you can also, if you don't have the sync client installed and you're creating a new version, save as history then, or save the PowerPoint, you can't, or a PDF, you can't edit it in the cloud. You would go to upload new version, and then you find a new version of the file and you upload it that way. And that'll let everyone know that you're collaborating with as well. Answer your question? Yes, okay. The limitation of this upload is just under 2 gigabytes. It also depends on the machine and how strong your browser is. If you have 1,000 tabs open, it may be less than 2 gigs, but about 2 gigs is when it maxes out. And we will be building in support for larger files than that in the future. Any questions about what we've gone through so far today? One last thing is when you are in the webinar, then you go to, or when you're on the webinar, sorry, if you are in your client and you go to options or you're seeing some issues, one good thing is you say show log window. And if you're running into some issues syncing, you just hit send, hit OK, and then put in a brief description of what you were doing when you had the issue. And this will hit, it actually doesn't hit support, it hits our development team directly. So it's a good way to do that. Also, when you're in here and you go to options, this is how you can see what folders you're syncing. So if you don't want to keep these relationships, you can come in here and say, you know what, remove this, remove that. We don't need any of these things in here. Then you hit save. That's going to remove the relationship, and then you can just delete. Also, in that, it's going to show us our sync options. So there's an exclusion list. So if you want to add different files to be excluded, you can do that. Ultrasafe detected. Let's hope I remember the password. Didn't seem I did. That's fine. And then display, you can show the status of files. So you can show how many they pop up. So in your sync, when you're getting new files uploaded and downloaded, you can show what's going on. So show the last 10 recent files, show 20 completed items, etc. And you can also see where your application log is held. So if you really need to get into a troubleshooting situation, this is where you can come to actually get your log file. And when you're working with support, you can ask them to walk you through it as well. All right, I think that pretty much sums it up for today. So unless there are any other questions, I think that will do it. So thank you all for attending, and we look forward to having you out on another webinar and also out in the field. So keep us feedback, and we appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day.